And welcome to the Coach's Corner. We're back at Time Warner Arena. I'm the coach, Dick Cox, joined by Carlos Smith. Carlos, basketball season people thought was over with a while back, though, but the Hornets trying to prepare, coming off a disappointing season for last year. We're at a workout today and had some players that people have heard of from the NCAA tournament in today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, basketball season never ends for these guys. It's all year round, even when in postseason. Hornets didn't make it, but they're still getting ready to work some of these guys out. Just see what they have. Some of the guys under the radar, good chance for them to come in with a chip on their shoulder, show what they can do, and then also to see some of the other guys who played on the big stage. So it's a good, exciting time for these guys. They've been doing a lot of workouts and traveling all around the country right now, but overall it's an exciting time for those guys to show what they can do.
And again, this is an important time, like you said, for these players because how they perform can determine, where they get drafted, and we all know where you get drafted determines how much money you make. It can be if you're a higher draft choice, you make more money. But players that were in today, Devin Booker, and this is a player that has been rumored to have been on the Hornets watch list, needed more shooting to come in. Sam Decker, we all know him from being in the championship game against Duke. I had the opportunity of talking with him several times in Indianapolis, though, but he's a versatile player that can play a 3-4 position there. Keon Moore from Winthrop, a local guy who kind of made the comment. It was kind of interesting what he had to say, even though he grew up right down the area, though, but he drove to Charlotte and was kind of riding around to get a feel for things today.
Absolutely. Now, I'm happy for him. This could be a humbling experience. This doesn't happen to everybody. So when you're in the moment like this, you got to enjoy it. So it's good to see him just soaking it all in, like he said, riding around. And he's pretty familiar with the area already, but just being able to play for the home team is truly an honor. So I'm happy for him, and I wish him nothing but the best.
Another player that was mentioned and went up against the Blue Devils from Duke was Kevin Pangos from Gonzaga, a guard trying to make his niche. You kind of wonder, the Hornets are pretty stocked right now with guards, though, but you never can tell. If you get a talented player, somebody you can pick up maybe in the second round, though, you may have to pull the trigger.
And it wouldn't mind seeing him here. The Hornets always, you have some extra guy coming off the bench. Got a pretty deep at the guard position right now. So, pretty much he'll be coming off the bench if he's playing the point guard position. Still don't know what's going to happen with Lance and Gerald Henderson right now. So maybe he'll be there in the second round maybe. And that'll be one of the guys they can use because they still need some offense because they struggle shooting the three-pointer. So maybe he can come in, step in for them and give them something that they pick him up in the draft.
Another young man who was in here today, Travis Trice. I had the opportunity of seeing him play here when his Michigan State team played in the regionals here, and he really played well here. I mean, he got off to a great start in the game that Michigan State defeated Virginia. He was a key man. I think he scored like 12 points in the first 3 minutes of the game, and he said he enjoyed the Charlotte area. He remembered practicing in this gym when he was here playing in the tournament there, but he seemed to be really enjoying this experience.
Yeah, he was a really good player. One of the key reasons that Michigan State went so far, but he did a really good job. He's a shooter. Probably won't be a lottery pick because he's one of the smaller guards, but he came in and said he had something to prove as well. But it was good to see him work out, and maybe he'll be one of the guys as well that the Hornets could pick up.
And again, he had a great tournament here, and it's kind of interesting hearing him talk, though. I think he's had about 15 workouts that he's got planned scheduled, though. Ask him what he needed to work on, and he said finding his niche at the next level right there that he's trying to find. He said he needs to get physically stronger. He's working out, but, this is a great opportunity for kids like this to get to go around. But he's the kind of player that could be a solid backup guard, and we've seen that in the NBA playoffs right now with players going down getting hurt. Kyrie Irving gets hurt, a backup player has to step in. That these are the kind of guys you need on your team who are smart, heady players. He played for Tom Izzo. He's well coached and is a guy that might could help a team out.
Yeah, playing for Tom Izzo, he'll be fundamentally sound. Not one of those guys who left and entered the draft early anyway. So, he's a seasoned guy. He's fundamentally sound. He knows how to play the game, really smart. So if he's coming off the bench, I'm pretty sure he can produce for some team out there because there's a lot of teams that still have a problem with depth. And in the NBA with a long season, you need guys for 82 games, and also in the postseason they can come give you a lift because the starters won't have it every single night. So maybe I'm pretty sure he'll be one of those guys because he can really play.
Last player that came in was Julian Washburn. People around here have not heard a whole lot about him. I don't really know a whole lot about him other than, he played at UTEP right there, though. But he's got other stops to make. He's making the tours right now. He still has to go to Chicago and had a couple other places to work out, though. But, again, this is a chance for guys that you may not have heard a lot about their teams or them to show the pro scouts and pro coaches what they can do.
Absolutely, yeah. He's not one of the guys that's been talked about all season long. And, sometimes when your team's not one of the elite teams in college basketball, you don't hear too much about them, but it's still good. Sometimes you like to be kind of under the radar because sometimes those guys are the ones who can really step up and become starters. And like a few years ago, Kawhi Leonard was not even one of the guys that was talked about a lot, and he's become one of the most elite players today. So sometimes, just carrying that chip on your shoulder and continuing to work hard, it'll work out for him.
You had a chance to talk a little bit with Devin Booker from Kentucky and ask him some questions. Tell our viewers out there what he had to say about his experience and why he is going around doing the things he's doing right now, playing and doing the workouts for the coaches.
Yeah, I asked him, since he played on a loaded team like Kentucky, because they had so many All-Americans, I just asked him, did he feel like he had to come out and have a good workout because he didn't get a chance to really show all of his talents because he had so much talent on the team. And he said it was important for him to come out and have a good workout because he said playing in Kentucky with all those All-Americans that he didn't have to do as much. And, those guys, I don't even think they didn't even have really somebody that averaged double digits for their team because they were so loaded and they just subbed in 5 at a time. So he said it just took a lot of pressure off of him during the season. So he said now is the chance where he can go to all of these workouts and really show what he can do because he didn't get a chance to do it while he was in Kentucky. So he said it's really important for him to just continue to work hard and show everybody what he can do.
I've seen a lot of mock drafts, and we talked about it coming to Charlotte today and although, but Booker's name was one of them that's been mentioned as a possible player landing in Charlotte. What do you see him possibly bringing to this team, and do you think that Charlotte, is interested in his skills?
He adds another shooter to the team. That's something that they really struggled with last year, and I think that's something that they really need is another guy that can shoot. And like I said, you still don't know what Gerald and Lance Stevenson are going to do, what's going to happen with their situation, but it's always good to have another shooter on your team because sometimes you really need, when things go wrong, you need somebody that can step in and knock down a three. So he's another guy that can come in and space the floor for him. Pretty decent handle, still has some work to do. He's not the best player yet, and he's still a freshman, so he's pretty much coming into the NBA season. Still, he's going to be learning still, so he's still got a learning curve. But I think overall he can still be one of those guys because they definitely need another shooter on the Hornets team.
And we noticed that Coach Clifford did pull him aside one-on-one, and we got some pictures of him chatting with him right there, though. But I think this is a guy of 4 different scenarios I've seen with the Hornets is a guy that they are serious about right now, maybe trying to find a shooting guard coming in. He's a young guy. You can tell that by looking at him, but he's a big guy, too, about 6'6" in there, though, and could possibly be wearing teal and purple next year.
Yeah, I would like to see him. Those Kentucky guys, Coach Calipari picks those guys for a reason. He knows they can really play. So I like his game. You never know with the NBA draft. He may go high, he may drop. So it's one of those things you never really know. But I pretty much it'll just depend on these workouts, and hopefully maybe he'll end up here.
You are watching and listening to the Coach's Corner, coming to you live from Time Warner Arena. I'm the Coach Dick Cox, joined by Carlos Smith right here. Carlos, Sam Decker. You wonder too about his stock right now. That right now the Hornets have got a Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. We're kind of wondering what's going on with Jeffrey Taylor. You've got Gerald Henderson. He is probably a true 3-man, but can play the 4. Could this be a guy, where would you possibly see him fit in? Because I know you mentioned at one time that you probably would not mind seeing him play here.
Yeah, I like Decker. He can really play. He, like you say, I would see him more as a 3 than a 4 because I don't know if he would have to add some more weight and get some more build to his body because he's not the most physical guy, so I don't know if he would be able to take that kind of punishment for a long season. But he's another guy that sometimes you can put him in at the 3-4, and he's got a good handle. So for a big man, and he's another guy that can stretch the floor. So I would like to see him here. He's actually one of my favorite players to watch because one of the key reasons that Wisconsin got to the championship game because he made some big shots in the postseason, even against Kentucky. And he's one of those guys that can really play. He can He said he can also play the 2 position. I'll probably see him more as a 3 though. So, but I really like his game. I hope now he's one of the guys I really like to see come to Charlotte for the Hornets.
And again, he's about 6'9", so he's got some size to him though. I'm gonna tell you something. He's a free spirit. He's very laid back. That in Indianapolis, when I had a chance to spend some time with him there. He was sitting up there at the press table, had his feet pulled up, had his feet dangling out from underneath the table there, and was cutting up. And, and the guys media and all were kind of getting tickled with some of the funny things he was doing. And he said, I like to have a good time. But he said, when you turn on the lights and you put on the uniforms, he said, you see a different Sam Decker. And he said, we know when you got to turn it on and when you got to be serious. So, but I kind of like his approach on life, kind of an easy-go-lucky, comes in, happy, jumped in there with the interview. But that's Sam Decker, that he's kind of a laid-back guy who likes to have a good time.
Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with having fun. And he's one of those guys that knows when it's business time and time to have fun. And the main thing is he's not getting in any trouble like some of the other guys. That's the key thing. He doesn't have a troubled past that we know of. That he likes to have fun. That's what it's all about. You still got to enjoy yourself. You're still a young guy. You're just soaking it up, enjoy living in the moment. And I'm glad for him. And like I said, was one of the guys that hopefully if he's still there on the board, which he should be, then maybe he'll end up as a Hornet.
And it's kind of like we're saying, too, sometimes you got to keep things in perspective. Yes, he's getting ready to go to basketball as a business, but he was a college student having fun, playing a game he enjoyed. There's nothing wrong with that, enjoying, getting out there playing, doing the things you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I recently graduated. I mean, we still like to have fun. Anybody who just graduated college, you still miss that college life from time to time, but, you can't stay there forever. It's time to move on to better things. So, I'm pretty sure he'll still enjoy himself while he's in the NBA as well. But in the meantime, he knows right now it's still time for business until draft day comes.
All right, current roster right now, some decisions going to have to be made with several players right now. Who do you see? And we just had one of the big brass go by us right here. We should have stopped and asked him the questions right now. Rich Cho just went by us. But, who do you see them bringing back from last year's team? Who do you see possibly them not bringing back?
I like Mo Williams. I hope they bring him back. It's just one of those decisions, with veterans. Sometimes it costs more to keep them, so we never know what happens with him. Max Seal, maybe one of the guys they let go. Brian Roberts, still up in the air. I'm not sure about him. I think you said Owen Daniels coming back. Troy Daniels. Troy Daniels. He'll be back. Kemba will be here. Lance Stevenson, maybe. I think him or Gerald, one of those two will be gone. I think Gerald, he'll end up testing the waters. I think Lance Stevenson, they may end up moving him because it just didn't work out for him. You got Big Al coming back. Cody will be here. So pretty much the 3 people right now I could probably see being gone would be Lance Max Seal, or maybe Brian Roberts, one of those guys. But, it's a business at the end of the day, so, the team can't stay the same because they didn't make the postseason anyway. So if they didn't make the postseason anyway, there's no need to keep the same team around. So it's time to shake it up.
All right, that we are a couple of weeks away from free agency starting, when I think July 1st, maybe when you first sign somebody, you can go back and re-sign some other players, I think around the 28th and all right now. What do you see the biggest need right now for this team? If you were the GM or I was GM or coach of this team, what position or what would you try to fix first with this team before you move on?
I think they need to get somebody to download with Big Al. He's last season he had a hard time. For one, he couldn't really stay healthy. He looked like he was a little bit overweight, had a little weight on him anyway. But they need another legit big man down low, because Big Al's already not the greatest defender. So they need somebody that can play pretty good defense and also give them something on the offensive side of the ball as well. So I think they need another legit big man and also another shooter. Those are the 2 key things that I really think they need to work on, just a legit big man and a shooter. If they can get those 2 things, I think they'll be back in the playoffs.
And again, I'm going to give my 2 cents worth on there. I agree with you on there, too. I think that right now that Big Al is really counted on for offense more than defense. He's limited in his athleticism as far as jumping and doing things. I think you've got to have, and we're seeing this right now in the championship series, you've got to have a presence in the paint who can defend the basket and can give you an offensive threat. Right now, I don't think the Hornets have got that. I think Cody Zeller is more of an outside shooter, and they're going to work with him more on his three-point shot on the perimeter there. I think you've got Bismack Biyombo, who's a great shot blocker but has no offensive skills whatsoever at all. But I think they have got to go out and find a guy who can be a presence in the paint, who can block shots, and at the same time can score around the basket. That is the biggest weakness, I think, right now, keeping Golden State from being a great basketball team. That in watching Bogut play and some of the other guys, they don't have a clue right now, though. But I think that would be my first thing I would look for. And I know you probably hate going big again when you drafted Von Lay and you drafted Cody the last 2 years, but I think that is the first thing you've got to fix is defending the paint. And then I would go next, you've got to get shooters. There are some shooters like Booker that we saw here today, though, but shooter might be something you can go out and make a trade for or something you can pick up in free agency. There are some guys, I don't know if they'll be around, that can defend the paint and all, but I think that's the first thing you got to fix is how many times this year did we see players get beat off the dribble and there was nobody there to defend the paint? I think Steve Clifford saw that, was very frustrated, but And again, I think we're seeing now, the NBA is not a big man's game. It is hard to find skilled big men anymore.
It's not, and the only big man I can really think of that's probably going to hit the market, not sure where he's going to go, is Marc Gasol right now. He's going to be a free agent this coming season, and also LaMarcus Aldridge. Not sure if the Hornets will have that type of money to get those guys, but it'll be kind of interesting. I hope they can do something to make a move. But they just got to get another big man because, like you said, Bismack Biyombo, he's good defender, but no offense whatsoever. Cody, he just kind of stretched the floor a little bit for him, but he's not the most physical guy either. So you need somebody that can bang down low with Big Al because he can't do it all, and he's not the best defender anyway. So you just got to get that. You got to get that big man, and with some of the pieces on the team already, maybe you trade Lance Stevenson and get one of those guys. So it'll be interesting to see, and I think they'll make a move closer towards the draft.
Like you said earlier, you didn't make the playoffs this year. You can't bring back, and I know the thing too is I know there's a lot of injuries though, and that's something you got to look at right now. Are the same people getting hurt over and over and over again? Not on Keith Gilchrist, but he has not had an injury-free season yet. And some players like that. Are you going to maybe look at possibly getting some players that can stay healthy for majority of the season there, because the Hornets are getting injuries and had too many injuries last year, but it's kind of bad when you've got some young players that have not been able to make it through a season injury-free.
Absolutely, and it's not a good thing. Like you said, when you're a young guy and you're already having all these injury problems, that's already a problem because the season is so long, it's not a good sign because you have to be able to stay healthy. And like I hear coaches say all the time, you can't make the club in the tub. So that's one of the things, these guys just got to stay healthy. And it seemed like every time they got somebody back, somebody else would go down hurt. And that's really what hurt the season because they just they didn't have the right chemistry because guys stay hurt so much. But, Kid Gilchrist, he's still got some work to do. He can rebound and he can defend, but for the most part, he really needs to continue to work on his offense and let his offensive game grow. But this will be a tough season for him. I think that he's in the final of his contract coming up, so I think he needs to play big if he wants to earn a big contract.
Okay, you're watching the Coach's Corner Sports Talk Show. I'm the coach, Dick Cox, joined by Carlos Smith. We are coming to you live today from Time Warner Arena. We have been on one of the NBA workouts there. Our show is brought to you by the Beacon Drive-In, also by our friends at the West Side Club, and several of our other sponsors out there, though. We appreciate them putting it on. All right, let's jump now into the NBA playoffs. We're 3 games deep into the NBA playoffs. What's your take so far on what's going on with that?
Before the series started, I said I think Cleveland will win in 7. I just said I just couldn't see LeBron losing a 4 finals because I think that would stain his legacy a lot. Golden State is the better team, but for so far they've had 3 games where they've not really played well, and really and truly they could have been up 3-0 right now, but they just been playing bad right now. Curry's been struggling right now, and everybody was riding Cleveland off when Kyrie Irving got hurt, but Dellavedova's been stepping in and kind of throwing Curry off, and it took Curry to the fourth quarter last night to really get things going. So I'm hoping that's a good sign for them. But Golden State is a young team, and some of those guys got to show up because they got Draymond Green and Harrison Barnes. Those guys got to start stepping it up for Golden State, because Steph Curry and Klay Thompson can't do it all. Sometimes the big men already as well, they haven't been existent really. Sometimes you need that guy that can go down low and get you the easy basket. But right now, I still think it'll go 7 games, but I still have to say Cleveland right now with LeBron James.
And it started out, the NBA got what they wanted. They wanted the new MVP versus the former. I'm sure this is what they were hoping for. Atlanta kind of hit the injury bug in the semifinals. They were the best team in the East. They went down fairly quick after all the injuries they had, though. And then you lose Kyrie Irving. Everybody said, well, this is going to be a sweep. A lot of people started losing interest, said, this ain't going to be a series, though. Well, the NBA is getting what they want right now, and that Cleveland's won 2 games. A lot of people wonder, can these things be fixed? I mean, from the standpoint, the NBA wants to draw this thing out to 7 games because of the TV revenue and all they bring in and all like that, though. Could they possibly be telling the officials, you got to even these things out to make it go longer right there, though? Now it's gone from what was going to be a sweep by Golden State to, well, what's wrong now with Golden State? They're down 2-1. They go down 3-1. Is it over again? What do you think we're going to see right now? Will this game go 7, or can we see this thing end before then?
I think I'm still saying it'll go 7 games. I think Game 4 is a must-win for Golden State, because if they don't win Thursday, I don't think it'll get back to Golden State for Game 7. So it's a must-win for those guys. I think it'll be another close game, but I think Golden State will get it done. Steph, I like what I saw from Curry right at the end. He started getting it together. He can't afford to have another off night. They still need Draymond Green and Harrison Barnes to give them something, because they really need something else besides that 1-2 punch with Curry and Klay. David Lee came in and gave him a little something last night, but Bogut, he's been pretty much non-existent. Mozgov's been having his way with him, and Tristan Thompson as well. They've been killing him on the glass, so they got to get something else. But I think I'll go ahead and say Golden State should win Game 4. I think it'll be another close game, and because if not, it's over it in 6 games in Cleveland.
If I'm coaching, if I'm Steve Kerr right now, the coaching move I make is, number 1, I got to get David Lee in the game. Bogut is bogus right now. He can't play. He can't play dead in a funeral parlor. He's having an awful series. He's not a threat. The guy has a 2-foot layup and will either fumble it out of bounds or throw it to a guy for a 3. He's scared to shoot. He's not an offensive threat. Get Lee in the game and go from there. Number 2 is I have got to sign one of those big guys. Has got to keep Trent Thompson off the glass. It is ridiculous how this guy is running at free will for putbacks, dominating the lane. You see what they've done with Curry right now. Cleveland's assigned a guy to bully him, and basically what that is to hit him, push him, shove him, and a lot of it's dirty play, I think, as a coach, but to just basically harass him and pester him. You got to do that on the other end. Thompson is killing them. A lot of people think even though LeBron's averaging 41 a game, that Thompson may be the MVP because of all the second chances thing he's done. Steve Kerr has got to get him under control. He's got to find somebody. Now, maybe Green needs to shut up and play and quit taunting and running his mouth and actually block somebody out, though. But that's got to be the key adjustment made, is you've got to keep Thompson off the offensive glass.
Absolutely. And another thing is, like you said, killing them on the glass, and they're also letting Cleveland slow the game down, because at halftime, Golden State, I'm not even sure they even had 40 points because they were playing so slow. But you got to keep Tristan Thompson off the glass, and I think if they can continue to stretch this game out, it should favor them, because Cleveland's not a deep team, and LeBron is playing pretty much all game long. So
played all but 12 minutes in the series right now.
12 minutes. So and the longer the series goes, it should favor them, because LeBron should be wore out by the end of Game 7. So it should favor them. But it's you never know. Cleveland's trying to end this thing as soon as they can. So I'm thinking if they win again, tomorrow night, then they may try to close it out in Golden State. Or if they win tomorrow night, maybe they kind of take it easy and not play LeBron so much in the Game 5 and close it out in Game 6. So, and he goes all in for Game 6. So it's kind of tricky right now. It's just something that Golden State really needs to be ready for, because if not, this could. I'm pretty sure if they lose Game 4, it's pretty much over with.
Well, and you got to look at Cleveland right now. I think is playing off adrenaline. That they're playing off the motivation of losing Kyrie. They're playing on the factor that everybody said it's over. It's going to be a sweep. It's over when you lost him, and they're using that as motivation. How long can you play on that right there? You know, the second thing that concerns me is that the Golden State Warriors are a jump shot team. Your shooting touch and your shooting power comes from your legs. And you got to wonder right now if Curry and some of the other players this late and with it being physical games, if their legs aren't shot. When you're shooting, when your legs are gone, your shooting touch is gone, because they've got some guys that are really laying eggs. Your Harrison Barnes, Green had missed, I think, 13 or 14 threes in a row right there before he finally made one last night. You wonder if a team that lives and dies by the threes, if you don't have your legs underneath you. I've seen that before, because I've had teams that were very talented three-point shooting teams that late in the season, it goes south because your legs are gone.
It's a long season. I hear all the time, you live by the jumper, you die by it. So it's something that to be cautious of. This is one of the best shooting teams I've ever seen. Curry is probably the best shooter I've ever seen, but sometimes just because you're the best shooter doesn't mean every shot is a good shot. And sometimes they do force some bad shots just because they shoot so well, and sometimes to a fault that hurts them. But I think they still need to find a way to get some easy baskets sometime. And that's going to come from the big men as well. But so that's something's got to give. I think David Lee, they found a little bit of something with David Lee, so that's why he played more minutes. And I think he'll play a lot more in Game 4, because if not, then I'm not sure what's going to happen, because Bogey's giving him nothing, and I'm not sure. They probably need to. He'll probably see his minutes cut in the next game, because he's not really giving them nothing. But like you said, those jumpers start. It's a long season. Your legs get tired, and those guys bump you on screens and putting bodies on you. It takes a toll on you. So the longer the games go, they're going to get wore down as well. That's why it's important for the bench to step up and to get some easy baskets.
Well, it'll be interesting. They'll get back at it tomorrow night to see what happens, though. But again, I think that I think that David Lee can be your X factor right there. I think that, I don't think they can win it with Bogus right now, the way he's playing, the way he is, though. They say never up, never in. They say when in doubt, let it fly. But unfortunately, in Golden State's case right now is when in doubt, shoot a brick. They got to get that shooting touch back. They got to get the shot selection. I think they're rushing a lot of shots if they're taking quick shots. And I'm going to give Cleveland credit. Cleveland's playing good defense right now. That I know Curry's working hard to try to get his shots, and I know, the little man pestering the daylight. He's like a little gnat right there. But he's doing a good job of doing what he's supposed to do, and that's grab, scratch, claw, kick, bruise, do anything you can to take Curry out of his game. And then a plus of that, they got frosting on the cake. He scored, 20 last night, I think.
So. Yeah, he's stepping it up. I think he actually made one of the shots of the night when he drove in the lane and threw it up, and it banked the shot in and got the foul and won. I think that was one of the big shots for him. He's been playing really well for him, and like I said, I think it still helps that Cleveland's slowing the game down. They're slowing it down a lot. LeBron gets the ball, he walks it up court. He's taking his time and not letting Golden State play at the pace that they usually do, a fast-paced, high-tempo game. But, that's something that's really favoring Cleveland, because they know they don't have the bodies, and just slowing the game down is going to help them catch their breath. So I think Cleveland is playing the way they want to play right now.
So we'll have to see what happens. We still got some more basketball left. We've enjoyed being with you. It's always good to get back in the gym here at Time Warner Arena. As you can see and hear, a busy place here. Even though basketball season officially is not going on, there is a lot still going on within the Hornets organization.
There's something always going on. It's good. I'm glad to see that. When the season doesn't go the way you want it to go, that means it's time to do some more work. Should never be satisfied with it, and I'm hoping that soon that Charlotte will bring a championship to the city.
My favorite T-shirt that I used to give to my players during the summer was "Players are made during the summer." Players and teams are made during the summer. That's what the Charlotte Hornets are trying to do, and we have been coming to you today live from Charlotte. He's Carlos Smith. I'm the coach, Dick Cox. You've been watching the Coach's Corner, brought to you by the Beacon Drive-In, also by the West Side Club, by the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, by Larry's Trophies, just to name a few. Tune in. Our next report will be tomorrow. We'll go over to Charlotte on the other side of the street here and check out what the Carolina Panthers are doing. Until then, we'll see you later. Goodbye, everybody.